I wanted to bring Will Bunch back into this conversation. You have written about this story at Penn State, as well as the rise of the far right across the country. We talked with you in the first segment about the senatorial debate last night. We didn't talk about the gubernatorial debate because it's not happening. But in Pennsylvania, the Republican gubernatorial candidate, Doug Mastriano, who attended the January 6th Stop the Steal rally and helped arrange buses for pro-Trump protesters to go as well. He later worked with former President Trump's legal team to overturn the 2020 election results. Talk about this race that is playing out in Pennsylvania, and then overall, not only about Mastriano, but the power of the Proud Boys and other such groups across the country now.
Yes, I mean, you know, when people say the phrase "democracy's on the ballot" in 2022, I mean, nowhere is that more true than Pennsylvania. I mean, you accurately described Mastriano's background as an election denier and somebody who was very much an active participant in January 6th, and in fact is still being looked at and investigated for his role in that. But, you know, it goes much deeper than that. I mean, one thing is that Pennsylvania is a state where, as governor, he would be choosing the Secretary of State. In other words, the person who oversees the 2024 elections in Pennsylvania would be chosen by Governor Mastriano if he wins. And he would pick somebody who shares his, you know, big lie 2020 election denial philosophy. So that's pretty alarming. The other thing is Mastriano has run with a full-on embrace of Christian nationalism. I mean,
looks like Will Bunch just froze. Will, are you back with us? Will is speaking to us from Philadelphia. Will, continue with what you were saying. You froze for a minute.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, you know, Michael Flynn and Roger Stone were here Friday night in Pennsylvania to campaign for Mastriano. So he hasn't moved to the middle in this general election campaign at all. I mean, he's embraced you know, his extremist roots, and he's hoping that a big turnout of people who share his Christian nationalist philosophy is going to be what gets him over the top on Election Day. I mean,
well, as we fix your microphone, I want to bring up a final comment, and that is, or an issue, your recent column for the Philadelphia Inquirer, where you look at the right-wing political TV ads that ran repeatedly during the recent baseball playoffs, saying the games were marred by, quote, jarring interruptions from the most shockingly crude and arguably racist political ads since Willie Horton hit the small screen in 1988, unquote. The anti-immigration ads were sponsored by a new group that calls itself Citizens for Sanity, linked to the America First Legal Foundation, founded by former Trump advisor Stephen Miller. This is a part of the ad.
Chaos, humanitarian disaster, hospitals overrun, schools overwhelmed, the safety net shredded, drug dealers and sex traffickers roaming free. A third world country? No. Arizona. Joe Biden and Mark Kelly have thrown open the southern border.
Citizens for Sanity has also funded billboards attacking Democrats nationwide in ads in newspapers. And there's some pushback. The group Every Town for Gun Safety ran this ad against Pennsylvania Republican gubernatorial candidate Doug Mastriano. The ad highlighting Mastriano's use of the right-wing social media platform Gab and its ties to the Pittsburgh Tree of Life synagogue shooter who killed 11 people.
Before murdering 11 worshipers at this synagogue,
multiple gunshots are heard from the lobby.
The shooter posted his manifesto on Gab, a site for extremists who promote violence, white supremacy, and anti-Semitism. Doug Mastriano paid thousands to the same site to recruit supporters. Mastriano is a far-right conspiracy theorist who compared gun safety measures to Nazi Germany. Doug Mastriano is just too extreme for Pennsylvania.
So if you could comment on both of these, Will Bunch, that ad we just played on Mastriano, and before that, the ads that played during the playoffs of baseball.
Yes, I mean, these ads have been very visible in Pennsylvania, and in fact, Citizens for Sanity unveiled a new crime ad that targets Philadelphia specifically, and it aired twice in the 10 minutes before the Fetterman-Oz debate last night. So they're highly visible. I mean, these ads are violent. They're racist. They make the infamous Willie Horton ad from 1988 seem just remarkably tame in comparison. And what's disturbing is I don't see the Democrats doing much to counter this, to counter this message. I think the crime message is the reason that Oz has gotten back into the race. And in using this crime issue as a bludgeon, I think the Republicans have very successfully kind of muted the things that we're talking about and what the message of that Mastriano ad, which is about, democracy being on the ballot, the threat from far right extremism. The Republicans are going for a certain kind of middle class voter that is going to see the threat to democracy as abstract, but is going to see the fear that's engendered by these ads as being very real. So the Democrats are running out of time, but I hope they find a way to counter this Republican messaging on crime, because I'm really worried that it's proving to be very effective so far, certainly here in Pennsylvania.